guys, Robo46 here, welcome yourselves to round 6 of Robo's Racing League on MotoGP 17 on the Xbox One. Now, last week we were racing at Le Mans, and you may remember a couple of incidents between Gidzi and his teammate, and also Gidzi and Morgan. Gidzi has been awarded 2 penalty points for his incident, and Morgan has been awarded 1 penalty point for his incidents with Gidzi. Now, let's get on with the qualifying. You can see that it is Mr. Troyello who is standing in for Lone Wolf because Lone Wolf was away racing in the freshman class at Thundersport GB on a green CB500 for Lonsdale Bikes. But standing in for him, like I said, is Mr. Troyello. He is on pole position. He was ahead of Jack in 2nd place, Typical Mikey 3rd, I was 4th, F1 Fan in 5th, Chutney BMX 6th, Stealing Set in 7th, Gidzi 8th, Jamie 9th, Morgan in 10th, and Dr. Monty, who accidentally quit during qualifying, he starts in 11th place. Bird is the word, unfortunately not showing up for this race, not actually sure what happened to him. And unfortunately we don't actually have the qualifying lap from Mr. Troyello because he did not record it. So we're going to go straight into the race. You got me top left, Typical Mikey top right, Chutney BMX bottom left, and Jack in the bottom right. So here we go, round 6 at Mugello. Let's go do this. So I didn't get the best of starts off the line, but Typical Mikey did and a few others did. And then into the first corner, a bit of a collision there between my teammate and Stealing Set, and unfortunately their crash bikes forced me off track and into the gravel. And annoyingly, I lost more time than they did when they both came off their bikes and pushed me into the gravel. I had to try and get out the gravel. So yeah, I was a bit annoyed with that because that really just pretty much fucked up my race from the start, and my race was pretty much over before it began. So Morgan just crashed there. A couple more people crashing there just ahead of me. And at the front, you got Jack who went off track a bit there. You've got Typical Mikey in the lead. Jack goes back up the inside of him. Typical Mikey back up the inside. You've got Mr. Troyello and Chutney BMX fighting as well. Jack's back in the lead. Typical Mikey goes underneath him and tries to go around the outside. You will notice that Jack is lagging a hell of a lot in this race. And a weird incident there for Chutney BMX and Mr. Troyello. Not entirely sure what happened there, but we'll have another look at that in a second. But yeah, I was down in like, I don't know, 7th or 8th. Mr. Troyello, he was in about 3rd place. Yeah, Typical Mikey 2nd. Jack was in the lead aboard his KTM. You see on Typical Mikey's screen he went into the front of him, and Jack kind of like sinking into the tarmac as well, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Jack really lagging all over the place at the moment. That was the end of the first lap. A pretty hectic first lap. Bikes flying all over the place, especially into turn 1. So we'll have a look at the start again. This is aboard Chutney BMX. You just see that Morgan and Stealing Set had a collision there. And this is Stealing Set. Now going into the first corner, on the brakes, Morgan just ploughs straight into the back of Stealing Set. Unfortunately, their bikes take me off track. So that is that one. And between Mr. Troyello and Chutney BMX just goes over the curb and just like pops a big stoppie. We'll have a look from his perspective as well, because it's such a strange incident that's happened there. So he just gets pushed over the curb a little bit, and then when he comes back on track, that's really, I've never seen that happen before. But back with Typical Mikey, we're on lap number 2. You've got Jack in the lead and Jack in the bottom left hand corner of your screen. So those incidents that we've just seen, I will send them off and they will be under investigation to see what happens with that, especially that turn 1 incident of Morgan ploughing into the back of Stealing Set. But yeah, like I said, you will notice that Jack is lagging quite a bit there, and he does sink into the actual tarmac itself. Going into here, looking like that Typical Mikey just closing in a little bit. He's got Mr. Troyello just behind him, and F1 Fan on the Suzuki is in 4th place. You see Jack going forwards and then coming back to him a little bit, just lagging. Unfortunately, there's not a hell of a lot you can do. Mr. Troilo goes up the inside of typical Mikey on the Ducati, and he's up to second place. Typical Mikey down third. Still got F1 fan just behind on the Suzuki. Typical Mikey's got to try and get ahead of Mr. Troilo. Jack isn't that far ahead. Obviously, it's hard to see on their screen where exactly he is because he does keep yo-yoing back and forth because of lag. So Mr. Troilo went a little bit wide. Typical Mikey tried to go up the inside but didn't quite work. So that is the end of lap number 2. Typical Mikey getting in the slipstream of Mr. Troilo. So, also on lap number 2, I was in 6th place, stealing set just ahead of me. Obviously involved in that turn 1 incident. So I had loads of work to do, and to be honest I wasn't feeling that quick anyway, just because I spent the weekend at Silverstone, so I'd done hardly any practice for this race, and yeah, it was definitely showing. My pace wasn't that great, and obviously that turn 1 incident did not help at all. But me trying to get past stealing set in the slipstream and just pulling alongside of him, and then getting him on the brakes as well, staying in 5th place for now. Stealing set, in fact, went off track and crashed as well, so he ended up crashing. So with Jack now, this is on lap number 3. Typical Mikey in the bottom left hand corner of your screen. Mr. Troilo coming back past him as they both go very wide. And Mr. Troilo up to 2nd place. Typical Mikey in 3rd. And F1 fan still in 4th place at the moment. Of course, I'm up to 5th now. Definitely a difficult race. And then as a break to go right, Jack goes across the curb and down he goes. So he crashes out of the lead, which allows 3 people through. Mr. Troilo now into the lead. Typical Mikey into 2nd. And F1 fan in 3rd. But it doesn't take long for Jack to get back on to terms with F1 fan. Suzuki lagging a little bit as well. They really need to sort out lag with this game. Jack got a better exit there and moves up to 3rd place. Typical Mikey very wide there. The trouble with Mugello is you gotta keep up your rhythm and your flow, because it's such a flowing track that if you cock up one corner, you lose so much time for the next few corners. You really got to concentrate and try and keep it as clean as possible. And then if you get into a big battle, you obviously end up slowing each other down. So at Mugello, as nice a track as it is, it can be quite difficult. You just got to try and keep concentrated. With typical Mikey now on lap number 4. Mr. Troilo just starting to edge away a little bit aboard the factory Ducati. Typical Mikey going to have to try and close him down. Unfortunately for F1 fan, he lost connection, so he was out of 4th place, which meant that I was moved up to 4th place. I was slowly catching up to F1 fan, but I wasn't catching him that quick. But obviously that disconnection helping me move up a place. Jack just starting to close the gap to typical Mikey now. Mr. Troilo trying to edge away in the lead and build up a bit of a buffer between himself and 2nd place. But Jack was closing. How long before he could catch back up to these guys? Big mistake there from Mr. Troilo as he went over the curb and is rear lifting up in the air. Of course, that's losing him loads of drive. Typical Mikey goes up the inside. Can he get it? Not quite able to get ahead of the Ducati, but he will get a better line through the chicane. Mr. Troilo going very wide and losing that lead. So typical Mikey up to 1st, and Jack comes past into 2nd place. So Jack is in second place, got Mr. Troilo right behind him. Typical Mikey, keep looking behind him. With Jack now on lap number 5. We've still got Mr. Troilo right behind him as Mr. Troilo comes past him on the brakes. Just about gets it stopped as well. Jack tries to go up the inside and does so. So back up to second place. Will Mr. Troilo have another go? Jack going a little bit wide there. Allow Mr. Troilo to go around the outside, and he's back up to second place. And they go downhill. Jack getting a better run through there, just about putting up the inside and back up to second. Now we'll have a look at some footage from Mr. Troilo just to show you how much lag Jack was having. You see there, kind of his name isn't really above him, and yeah, it is quite difficult to race someone when they're lagging, but obviously, unfortunately, can't be helped. A little nudge there, but there was actually no one there. But we did see on Jack's screen that he did give him a little nudge, but obviously Mr. Troilo didn't realise he was actually there because he was lagging. So that sent Mr. Troilo a little bit wide. So Jack closing in on typical Mikey now. Trying to close in the factory Yamaha rider. Mr. Troilo drop back a little bit as typical Mikey goes very wide. And Jack closes in a little bit more. Just under half a second at the moment. Into the final corner, a little bit wide again from typical Mikey. Jack uses slipstream, trying to pick up his slipstream. Typical Mikey moving out the way to stop him using it. On the brakes. Jack closing in on the brakes. And he's all over the back of typical Mikey now as he tries to go up the inside into turn 2. Not quite happening. Not enough room. So he tries to get a better run out of turn 3. Through here. Typical Mikey running a little bit wide. Jack getting slightly better drive through there. Down the hill they go. Jack again trying to put it up the inside. Pushes him wide. And goes back into the lead. So typical Mikey now down in second place. Mr. Troilo in third. I'm still in fourth, but I was miles behind. Now Jack trying to see if he can pull away from these two. Of course, we're coming to the end of lap number 6. Mr. Troilo just got ahead of typical Mikey there, up to second place. Could he catch back up to Jack? Them swapping places again. Typical Mikey still trying to fight for that second place at the moment. That is the end of lap number 6. So on lap number 7, Mr. Troilo, by the looks of it, was catching up to Jack. But like I said before, there was a little bit of lag as he come onto the straight. See, big lag there as Jack sinks into the ground, but Mr. Troilo never actually got past him. It's just a lag, fooling him into thinking that he was getting into lead, then into here as well. Lagging round the corner, and then coming back. So yeah, difficult to pass someone when they're lagging so bad. Mr. Troilo goes wide, makes a bit of a mistake. So Chutney BMX now on lap number 9. Not much really happened on 7 and 8. apart from what you've just seen. So Chutney BMX, he was in 6th place, and he had Jamie on the other Suzuki, not that far behind, just slowly closing in on him. It was Chutney having that strange crash early on in the race when he went across the curb and kind of nosedived as he went back across it. Like I said, never seen that happen before. Such a strange crash. So he's got Jamie, he's just behind him on the Suzuki. And it's Gidzy in 5th place on the other factory Yamaha. So the factory Yamaha is having a pretty good race at the moment. And it's looking like Chutney BMX just starting to edge away from Jamie a little bit, because there's still one more lap to go after this one. Could Chutney catch up to Gidzy? Or will Jamie catch Chutney? There's 2 seconds to Gidzy and just under a second back to Jamie in 7th place. Comes out the final corner, and it is time to start the final lap. Lap number 10 at Mugello for round number 6 of Robo's Racing League. Into the first corner, quite early on the brakes there. Stealing set crashed a bit further back. And Jamie, he was closing in a bit more. The gap 2.3 to Gidzy, and that gap had actually slightly gone up back to Jamie, so just over a second now. If it stayed as it is, it's looking like Chutney was going to be on course for a 6th place. Jamie was pushing, he could see him, and it's down to half a second now, so Jamie really trying to close up. Wanted to try and take 6th place away from Chutney. Wobbly on the brakes. Just the final sector to go. And that will be it for round number 6. Jamie closing in a little bit more. You can see the arrow appeared through the chicane. He's actually closing in on Gidzy slightly, not a huge amount, but it's under 2 seconds now. Jamie was right there. Would he slipstream him to the line? Here we go at the final corner. Jamie still right behind him, but it wasn't going to be quite enough. He was closing, but it wasn't meant to be. Jack took the win, followed by Mr. Troyolo in 2nd place. Typical Mikey ended up in 3rd. I took home a very lonely 4th place. Gidzy came home in 5th. Chutney BMX 6th. Jamie ended up in 7th place, just behind Chutney BMX. So the 2 factory Yamahas having a good race. And then you had Dr. Monty, who finished in 8th, stealing set 9th. F1 fan, who unfortunately disconnected, he ends up in 10th. And Morgan, who also disconnected, he ends up in 11th place. So that is the end of the race. Let's check out the Riders' Championship. Of course, Jack continues his 100% streak at the top of the leaderboard with 150 points. I'm still in 2nd place with 96. Lone Wolf is in 4th with 76 points. Birders Word, again not racing, down in 5th place with 57 points. He's 5 points ahead of Chutney BMX, who's in 6th with 52 points. Stealing Set is 7th with 50 points. F1 Fan 8th with 49. Then you've got Jamie in 9th with 38. Dr. Monty in 10th with 38. Morgan in 11th with 37. Gidzy in 12th with 36, and AMS Blaze, who's no longer racing, in 13th with 6 points. And you can see the guys have had their penalty points added, with Gidzy's total up to 3 now. Morgan has his 1 added onto his score as well. So if any of them or anyone reaches 5 penalty points, they will miss qualifying altogether for the following race. Let's have a look at the team championships now. Red Bull KTM still at the top with 188 points. Ducati in second place with 161. Tech 3 Yamaha in third with 144, but closing in now is the Movistar Yamaha team in fourth place with 120. Repsol Honda in fifth with 102. And Suzuki in 6th with 86. So that is it, guys. That is it for round 6 of Robo's Racing League on MotoGP 17 on the Xbox One. Quite an interesting race. It was boring from my perspective because not a hell of a lot happened in my race, hence why you didn't see much of my footage. But a decent battle at the front, and Jack again having to fight hard for the victory. And that is it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. The next race will be next Monday, and that will be at Catalonia on the 4th of September. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. See you.